What's up, guys? Today we have Ryan on the podcast. He is a seven-figure FBA and print-on-demand seller. We're going to talk all about that, his entrepreneurial journey, and we're just going to get into it. So thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is what I love talking about, so I appreciate the invite.
Of
Yeah,
course.
so give us a little intro. Don't have to make it too long or whatever, because we hate like long, drawn out intros. But a brief overview of like kind of who you are.
Yeah, for sure, man. Grew up playing computer games, so I had the tech background, studied web development in college, became a web developer. Didn't really know what I was like trying to do with my life, even though that seemed like a logical, like well-paying path to most people. For me, it wasn't enough. Like even with a side hustle as a web developer with a web hosting company and stuff, teaching web development at my alma mater, like doing really well on paper, but working way too hard as a function of the money that I'm getting, right? You're never getting paid anywhere close to what you're worth if you're working for other people. And I knew I just need to find a way out. Ended up crossing paths with somebody, call it fate maybe, who was an Amazon FBA coach. Like he was already doing it and he was successful himself. And I crossed paths with him in real life. And I knew I had to hire him basically. So I paid him like $2,500 to help me get my first product launched. At the same time, I learned about print on demand. So I literally in the first month, 2017, early 2017, made my first Amazon FBA sale and my first print on demand sale. And from there I was hooked because, there was no effort in the fulfillment, right? So I saw the vision like, okay, we got to scale this. And to this day, it's like I still do both. More print on demand than FBA. FBA is cutthroat since they really opened it up, made it easy for manufacturers to kind of sell and compete with us. And I have a YouTube channel where I talk about it. So it's what I've been up to lately.
Yeah, that's crazy. You started two different things, which is kind of on Amazon. It's not two different things, but starting two things and having success like that, I feel like not a lot of people have that kind of path.
Yeah, man, it helped that I sat at a computer all day, as a web developer. And like, if you're good at what you do as a web developer, like you can definitely have lots of free time, which I would like to consider myself pretty good at. That's why you become a developer, right? Instead of writing the same code 100 times, you write it once in a function. And then when you need to execute that code, you just call the function one line of code. So that kind of approach, like I saved myself a bunch of time doing the day job. And I called it the double down. Anytime I could work on my side hustles while getting paid to be at my 9 to 5, I was all about that.
Yeah. How long did it take till you quit the 9 to 5 or could replace it with what you were making there?
Yeah, I worked 8 years, I think, was the total between my first job out of school. I got a master's degree, which there was literally no point in doing that. I don't even know why I did it for being a web developer. But then I was like, damn, I got to find a way to make this pay. That's when I got into teaching web development. And when I had the degree, I was like, all right, time to find a new job too. So when I was 25 years old, I was hired as a senior front end web developer, basically like the team lead, but it was a small company. So I had like 2 people that worked with me. And I was teaching web development to people that were like 2 years younger than me. So that was kind of funny. Funny place to be. People would think, oh, that's great, and like technically on a relative basis, sure. But definitely doing much better now that I am my own boss and kind of uncapped. I removed the cap off of my income.
Yeah, talk about. I know you're very into productivity. So a little background. I met Ryan. I thought I was going to start a print-on-demand business, and he was like, "No, don't do that. You should go all in on the Amazon influencer program." This was like 2 years ago, and I'm happy I made that decision. But you do like so many things. You have courses. You have a YouTube channel. You do print-on-demand. Like, how do you do all this stuff?
So the answer is initially it was just that I was always willing to like work as hard as was required. Like what I didn't mention about my story that I just shared is like I would go into work on Saturday mornings and I would sit there in the cold, in the dark, and it was just a good place for me to be productive because there was nobody there. And then probably after like 4 hours, 5 hours, the CEO would come in and he would just be in the cold, in the dark, like working across from me kind of thing. And we were both working on like a long-term vision of like building and scaling a business. And it showed that like we were the dudes in there kind of suffering together. He thought I was probably, I don't know. I would tell him I'm working on my own stuff, honestly. But I think, I don't know. I always wonder like how did he know I was going to leave? Because at one point he actually kind of helped me make the decision to leave. He tried to get me to switch teams from a front end developer to a back end developer, which I had no interest in doing at that company. So the decision was kind of made for me that it was time to go. But I think I worked, was your question like how long did it take? I think I worked 8 years total, 9 to 5. And then the decision was easy at that point. What's funny is it was 2 months before COVID kind of sent everybody to work from home. And if I could have worked from home, I probably could have kept that job for another, 4 years, but because it's kind of like cruise control, easy mode. But either way, I think life is good.
Yeah, and what do you think about the productivity part of it? Do you think you just like you don't have hacks or whatever? You kind of just sit down and you just know you can work for really long periods of time. Like, is there any kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
trick or
That was the question. Like I would just say, man, like I'm a computer guy. So first and foremost, it's like I've put in just an unfathomable amount of time and I have like back pain to show for it at a computer from being addicted since I was 13 years old to computer games. And not just like playing for fun, you know what I mean? Like literally playing to be the best at whatever the game was. Like that's the kind of like how my brain works. So I'm like, I got the keyboard shortcuts. I've got, my exact setup with like 3 monitors plus the fourth up here, the exact like keyboard. Everything is how I need it to be as optimal as possible. Like when I would publish print on demand, I would set a clock and I would use different like literally like different approaches. Like should I have 3 tabs open? Should I have 6? Should I have 9? Based on how I could like do control 1, control 2, control 3 and switch tabs. So I would just because I knew like at scale, you're that those time savings add up from using like literally 10 different web browsers on my computer, and each web browser serves a purpose. When I open it, the defaulted tabs and what I'm logged into, like it's all planned. But I would just say that today, like being into this journey almost 9 years, like I understand also the importance, and you only better understand it as you scale, of keeping things simple and just like streamlining. You know what I mean? Like basically, I don't want to have to go back in and like try to maintain a course because Amazon changed their user interface, in Seller Central for the 5th time in 5 years. Like I want to just be like, hey guys, like I'll say straight up in the lecture, like, hey, the user interface might change. They've been known to do this, but you're gonna come to this screen. I'm gonna put the link, and you're gonna click here. And I try to just be direct like that. Like it's not about how it looks; it's about the functionality. And you learn these things as you go.
yeah, being very intentional. It sounds like you're trying to save like micro time over time, and then it just adds up to be probably a lot of time over the course of years and years of doing this stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely been one of my advantages, and just being willing to put in the work. That's something that I'm just used to, so it doesn't even bother me. Like 9 years in at this point, I'm still like, I just like I had these little mantras in my head. One of them was just like learn to love it, like learn to love what you do, because nobody probably aspires to work 12-hour days, but if you get fulfillment out of it, and then you also kind of have that work-life balance where it's like, okay, it's Tuesday, I'm working hard, but on Saturday I can play hard if I want to. Like I can take a week-long vacation, whatever. Um, it's kind of worked out for me at least. Everybody's different, but it works for me.
Do you have a team at all, or is it just you?
I mean, I've experimented with adding team members. Like I've had a VA helping me with like publishing print on demand stuff multiple times in the past. What ends up happening is I end up usually just not seeing the value, even though you can pay them very competitive rates, just because like I'm capable myself of doing things so quickly and efficiently that I just end up thinking like, I have trouble with that. I'm not good at working with like teams. I have like YouTube editors and stuff like that too, but I'm still not great about like being consistent with them because I do have a YouTube channel as well. But I'm trying to get better about streamlining. Like that's something on my to-do list for 2026. But if you talked to me 2 years ago, I would have had probably the same answer. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to like change your
Yeah.
personality type of like what you're okay with doing, especially if you're an effective person. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people probably struggle with that. And another thing too, it's like, what if you hire somebody and you just create more problems for yourself or whatever? It's like, well, then you just regret even doing it in the first place.
I struggle with that same thing, right? I don't know. I don't want to like be pessimistic, but it's like, it's tough, right? Because I know how I like it done. I know how fast I can do things. And yeah, so that's what it is. AI's
Yeah,
been great though.
that's always a struggle for me too, because like I'm like I need to hire someone to help out because like doing a lot of different things right now, but it's also just like I'm kind of like you. It's like I like how I like things done. Like there's a certain system, there's a certain process. It's like to kind of hand that off, and then you kind of have to. I think the harder part is like you have to work ahead of them. So like when you do have a YouTube editor, then you're like, shit, I need to be like 3 or 4 videos ahead. And then sometimes you're a creator, you're like, oh man, like I got this great idea. I'm just going to make a video. And then it's like, well, like, how does this fit into the process? Now I just can't upload when I want to upload. It just creates like a mess, and it's like super annoying.
Yeah, it creates like almost like you now have a job because they have a job. Like my wife's good about, she has a VA that she's like really she loves her and helps her with like the influencer program, for instance. But it keeps her having to kind of push to create the work for the VA.
No. We can get into the Amazon stuff, but I find something interesting here. You seem like a very productive individual, and we haven't really talked about productivity and the mental stuff with people in a while, probably. We kind of just keep it like pretty business focused, but I don't know. It seems like you were probably going to be really good at talking about this. And you've taught people, right? You have courses and teaching stuff.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, like one of my like freebies that I don't do a good job promoting, but it's just called like business productivity hacks. And it's like completely free and it's like really short lessons. But I try to like these thoughts that have like germinated in my mind, like these seeds that have grown. I try to just like do a 2-minute job, just kind of explaining some of them, in there.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about is that since you've taught people, you probably have seen a lot of people fail and a lot of people win. Like, well, let's talk about that a bit of like what consistent traits do you see in people that are succeeding and people that are failing? And then how does this align with you? Do you think everybody's a little bit different? Like kind of just go into that kind of thing of what makes people win or lose in this space of doing stuff.
Yeah, what's funny too is like I haven't really read the like self-help books that a lot of people read. I've just kind of come to a lot of the same conclusions, just I guess through my own kind of roundabout way. But yeah, like you got to be a doer. Like in this life, like number one, too, like we're all gonna die one day. So do you want to look back on your life as like what could have been, or do you want to look back and just feel like fulfilled? Like, oh, that was a fulfilling life, which again means different things to different people. To me, like I'm not gonna look back and be like, oh, I made money, therefore it was a good life. Like that's definitely not at the top of my hierarchy of desires, right? But like it definitely helps sustain like a good quality of life right now for where I'm at. And if you can get far enough ahead in life, if you really like kind of understand money, and I'm not claiming to like understand money because that's a really tough, constantly evolving thing, but like that's like kind of the driving force behind why I push so hard. Like I definitely have enough in most people's eyes if they knew what I had in my bank account, right? But it's like over the long term, I think if you like really understand money, the goal is to like have like a nest egg, kind of put it away. That's your principle, and you want to just like live off the yield of that. So I want to make a lot of money, kind of live off the dividend yields of that, if that makes sense. And yeah, from a productive standpoint, you just have to be a doer, like straight up, first and foremost. Like if you don't consider yourself to be a doer, I guess number two would be you need to also be your own biggest like proponent. Like you need to believe in yourself, not doubt yourself. Like if you have a voice in your mind saying you can't, then that needs to be fixed like immediately. That's imposter syndrome. It's not a not a foreign concept. It's pretty common, but you need to believe in yourself and really just like if you see someone like me out here doing something that you're interested in doing, like you now know because I'm human, you're human. There's no difference between me and you. If I can do it, for sure you can do it. So then you just got to get after it, make it work. Another big mantra for me is like make it work. Like in my head, it was make it work for you. Like that may seem so obvious, but some people they might. I mean, like I was working a day job 9 to 5. Like I had my second job, and I had my freelance web development company, right? And I had other stuff going on beyond that too. Like that is whatever, just all little hobbies, passive income, active social life, active in my family's life, stuff like that. Like I was all over the place, but it didn't stop me from having my vision and executing every day, little by little, just getting a little bit closer every single day. But like me making it work for me would be like, hey, if I have 20 minutes, like I'm not going to start a project that takes an hour and then fail and fall short. That is a waste of time 100% of the time. But I will get 20 minutes worth of work done in the 20 minutes I have so that I did something. And that's the biggest thing I would say is just make it work for you. Don't lie to yourself about what you can do in this amount of time. Just be realistic and just keep chipping away.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. How do you probably, I guess a good way, because a lot of people are probably watching this who they have businesses and we're actually talking about before you actually got on, like just kind of like, how do you beat imposter syndrome? Because a lot of people are there. I feel like they're like, oh, I can only do this much a month, or I can only do X, Y, Z. I'm kind of like that with the influencer program. And it's like, holy shit, like you just passed that number. Like, okay, like what's the next number? Like, but now I kind of don't have it. But like, how do you overcome it? Because obviously you started pretty young.
Yeah, I mean that's the $1 million question for most people. Like for me, I just think of two moments in my life where I'd like legitimately had to. And the first one was like I never had any aspirations to teach, right? But I got my master's degree. I was like, why did I do this? Randomly emailed one of my old professors, like, yo, do you need help teaching? And they were like, yes, I do. So like next thing you know, I'm driving to teach a class. There's no training. They don't train you for that. And I literally have no clue what I'm doing, what to expect, etc. And like there's no way to like encapsulate how I felt when I had to start teaching for the very first time with no training. Other than that, like you just have to do it, that's the best way. You just got to get it done, and the other time was when I did my first YouTube video. Like I put it off for a year longer than I needed to, for reasons, like there were some other reasons that things out of my control that went on, being there for like family members that needed my help at the time. So, but either way, when it was time, it was time. I literally went home from work 5 p.m. I said, all I'm doing today is getting my first YouTube video posted. I don't care how long it takes. I'm getting it done, period, the end. And I sat there in my room, you know, I mean, I don't have to get into it, but it's just like, it took me, I think, till 2 or 3 in the morning on a weeknight where it's like I had to go back to work the next day. And that was it. I just got it done, you know, but it was so uncomfortable. The video is still on my channel too. You can go find it. And that's just what it took, you know. And I mean, I didn't necessarily know exactly what it was going to entail. So I'm like launching OBS, figuring out how to configure a green screen. Do I need a green screen? I don't know, but I have it. And then doing little video edits for my first video that no one's ever going to watch, like all those little things. But like the whole point is I got it done. So you just gotta be a doer. You know, if you joined my email list, the first email you would receive in the past was like me and Microsoft Paint, and it was just like a split screen down the middle. So it's like stick figures, and it literally just said me on the left hand side. I go home, I work on my businesses. My friends on the right hand side, they go home, they open up Netflix. Choose. You know, who are you going to be? Your life story is being written one day at a time.
Yeah, that was literally, I was going to, flows perfectly. I was going to say, so there's so much stuff out there that is like, I feel like trying to attack you and just keep you being a loser, like Netflix and TikTok, like everything is literally trying to attack you and steal your attention. It's not like you're a superhero. So how do you not succumb to these vices, I guess, that just turns you into an unproductive person?
Dude, part of it is probably just like, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of question everything, if that makes sense. So I'm also just like, kind of like what you just said. Some amount of people that are listening might not register right away. You know what I mean? Like they might hear it and that seed may need to germinate. And then maybe in 6 months they start to see it, right? That like nothing good comes from these shows. Propaganda's in like everything. Like obviously it's in like mainstream news, but it's in like those shows too. So like my desire to watch most shows is not even that high, you know? And like me and my wife, when we watch TV, a lot of times it's not even like serious shows. Like it could be, you know, reality TV where it's like just funny, you know, and we're not even like, you know, it's not that serious. Like we need to unwind a little bit. We're serious about our business. We both have our businesses and, you know, yeah. So that's a great question. And for me, it's just like not that appealing, I guess. So I guess maybe I have it easy in that regard. And I watch, well, I'll say I watch everything on 2x speed, not TV. But if I'm like in the gym and I want to hear a podcast for entertainment, 2x speed. So I'm still like cranking out content and getting my fix per se. But I'm not like interested in a lot of like the mainstream stuff. So that stuff doesn't even appeal to me.
Yeah, it's probably like a bit of a blessing then. Yeah, because I feel like that is what holds a lot of people back. It's just like your time is just spent worrying and doing so much just trash, and it's hard to get out of it. Like I succumb to it all the time. But I guess it's good that you kind of just like naturally don't have that inclination to go that way.
Do y'all look at social media a lot? Like for me, like that hasn't been appealing to me ever. So it's like it's not that I'm not on it, but it's just like I don't get stuck doom scrolling. Maybe in Twitter I do, but I try to be productive on Twitter too. So I'm still like studying like the stock market and stuff like that. But what about you guys?
Yeah, Twitter's my cocaine, dude. That's my problem. I gotta stop Twitter. I think I probably need to delete it from my phone because I'm not too bad. I don't get it on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, but Twitter, that'll suck you down forever reading stuff.
Twitter for me too will get stuck, and Instagram. So I get a lot of brand deals on Instagram for the influencer program. So I got to check that almost like every morning. So that's where all the deals come. But then it's like I could easily get sucked in. I think the worst that a lot of people don't understand, it's like not necessarily like the scrolling. It's like, but it's like what you see and how it makes you feel. Like early in the morning, like that could be like devastating for like some. It's like we're all human, but like you probably could see someone like on vacation. You're like, shit, why am I not on vacation? Like that looks amazing. Like I'm about to crank out 30, 40 YouTube videos and this person's sitting on a beach. Like, am I doing this wrong? Like kind of thing. So I think that's more like the detriment of some of this stuff too.
Dude, I agree. I also don't like the idea of like, again, like we're all going to die one day. Do you want to look back on your life and literally be the person that thought about what you were supposed to think about when you were supposed to think about it and felt the way that you were supposed to feel based on an algorithm that like determined everything, that doesn't even like recognize you as human? You're just a number to the, you know what I mean? It's not, it's, that to me is just like such a foreign concept, yet it's totally like what the future is shaping up to look like. I was just going to mention too, like I started doing this earlier this year where like I wake up and like I just read, like I literally just read a chapter of a book first thing, because I want to be in control of my life. I want to say, I'm going to read this book, and it's because I want to do it. Not open my phone. Oh, ding, 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 ding. All these things out of my control, manipulating my mind. You know, obviously like you can get it deeper too. Blue light's terrible for you. Like, I don't think EMFs are good for you. Another thing you could say too, like the phones in general, the black mirrors are, see, like I told you guys, I'm not into the mainstream stuff.
No, this is good. Keep cooking, man. Keep cooking.
No, I could go on for way too long, so I got to cut myself off there. But
no, we actually were supposed to have a guest on that's like big conspiracy guy, so that John was talking about. So I was like, good. People can just get hit with two in a row. That's fine. I like talking about that stuff anyways, but and
Same.
like I think there's merit to it. Like, you know, you might be like, I don't want to talk about it, but you are the guy you are. So like it has to benefit somewhat. You know, the way you think about the world, the way you interact with the world, it's made you productive. So maybe like one little thing that someone takes, maybe that thing I said about like all these things trying to attack you, maybe one person hears that and they're like, whoa, I am getting attacked by my phone basically every day. I probably need to stay away from that. So I like that stuff. You could be wrong, but who cares? You know, it still might help somebody at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say. It's like they're definitely, I just don't think like the higher the stakes, the less random things become. But like literally, if you go through your whole life never questioning anything, you believe the exact opposite's true. You think that like the higher the stakes, the more random things are, which I promise you is not the case. Everything in life is a hierarchical control structure. You know what I mean? The people at the bottom don't need to be read in any more than the person above them, above them, above them. And you get to the top, and these are all corporations, and then the person at the top ends up plus the corporations. If you look, if you want to know a good exercise, just like this is not even conspiratorial. Go to Yahoo Finance, type in any company, and then click institutional holders. And what you'll notice on any company, I didn't even have to give you one. Any. Go to Coca-Cola and Pepsi is a good example. The same institutions own both of them. Like there's no competition there. Everything in this world that we live in currently in 2026 now, basically, is like this monolithic corporation that does not care about what's best for humans or human needs. Basically, it's the exact opposite. It's all about human exploitation. Like it's why the quality of life is getting worse as we get advances in technology, which is deflationary, which should produce the opposite effect. You know, it's being orchestrated from the top down, or you believe everything's a coincidence. And even though, like, again, you don't need to be 200 IQ to think like the here I go on a rant, man. But it's just like, you know what I mean? Every leap in technology basically reduced the need for manual labor workers to stand side by side doing repetitive tasks, right? As such a base example. So wouldn't that improve quality of life, right? No, of course it didn't, because of the money's broken. You know, it's a separate topic, but it's like this whole thing, you know, it's everywhere, you know, it's everywhere you look.
Well, let's talk about AI, because I feel like you mentioned you use AI. I feel like this one is, dude, that's the one you got to be really careful with, because that could really ruin your life, I feel like, fast. And just, you know, convince you of things. One thing, I'll just start with this. Maybe you can hear this premise. It tells you you're right basically all the time. You're never wrong in the eyes of AI, but obviously you're wrong all the time. But it'll keep reinforcing these beliefs you have and keep telling you you're right, you're right. I feel like that is a massive problem, that there's like no pushback from the thing, but there kind of can't be pushback, I guess. What do you think about that? And what other kind of AI problems do you see in the future?
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's a new phenomenon? Because like, I think since 2020, like the prevailing theme of this decade has been the concept of like truth. Like a lot of people don't think that truth exists anymore as an objective, discrete thing, where in many cases it is just that. Like 2 + 2 still equals 4 no matter what. You know what I mean? But there's people who will tell you, like, literally look up Common Core education. You know what I mean? Like in Common Core, 2 + 2 doesn't have to equal 4 if you can explain your answer. Like that's what they're brainwashing the youth with. You can't make this stuff up. Look into the history of education, Rockefeller, all that great stuff. I'm sure he had great intentions. It's crazy, man. But like with AI specifically, I just don't think it's anything new. I also don't think AI is like singularity sentient or anything like that. I think it's probably just like a bunch of really like rapidly executing nested if else statements, but I could also be wrong. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I've heard of like AI psychosis. And again, it's just kind of like, I forget because I'm so far removed. Because like I learned to program. When I learned how to program, by the way, it changed how my brain worked for sure, to be like significantly more objective in how I see the world. Because I think if you're going to be decent at programming, you do need to be like objective in how you approach problem solving. But then you just start to see everything a little bit differently. Like, so like, you know, I start to like, oh, I log into Twitter. Why is this at the top of my feed? Then I'll check, like, is this from an account I even follow? Okay, I'm being propagandized. Like none of this stuff is random, right? Like obviously, you know, there's advertising. There's a lot of reasons, but with AI specifically, it's a double-edged sword because yeah, like it's helping we're all in business, right? Like it's self-serving to use it because of the efficiency aspect. But yeah, like you said too, it's like it doesn't often challenge your beliefs. And for sure too, like I mean, just like everything else in life, if you ask me, like AI is going to be like whatever. You guys probably know it's like it's going to be monetized in some way. So in some point in the future, it won't even like the answers we receive might not be based on what's best answer. It'll be based on like commercial, you know, interests of whoever owns the AI. You know, it's all the same stuff. Or worse, like if you look into like the history of eugenicists in the like in positions of power in the United States, but really in the world at large, like there's a pretty rich history of some big names, and you know, they may not go and like talk about it openly, but like all I'm trying to say is it's not always money at the root of their decision-making processes. Which again, like it's one person at a microphone, or is it one person, again, hierarchical control structure, passing a mandate down, and then that gets enacted in this code of ChatGPT that then affects everybody that uses it instantaneously across the world, but they're all using it in their own partition. You know what I mean? Completely different use cases, but it's influencing the outputs now, whether it's to make money or for something more sinister, you know? And that's like, it's just, it might be unfathomable, but I'm telling you on a technical level, it's so simple. And this is literally how it could work. It's not like a stretch, you know?
Someone, I was actually, let's do a pod, but I'll go to this and then I'll say, but like, it is funny, like, cause you mentioned that too earlier about 2020. I forgot what store I was in. I really don't remember. And like, they still had the stickers on the floor. They were like, really like, kind of like shine, but it was like the 6 feet apart stickers. I'm like, I can't believe like we did this shit. Like, this is like insane. Like to think that like they were able to convince everyone of that. But it's also just like a crazy thing. And like, I honestly think ChatGPT is like amazing and like it can save you time and stuff like that. But I was listening to like Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, and like they're trying to convince like Shane like that it's so great, and he's like, it's just a better Google. Like could do some stuff for you. And like the more and more like I look at it, like I'm kind of like that is kind of true. It's just more convenient.
Dude, you
For
got to
me
check
anyway.
out Matt's brother's podcast, War Mode. It's so funny.
Yeah, that good.
Check it out, dude. It's so
I'm
funny.
gonna have to look at that.
Yeah, please look it up. It's you will not regret it. It's hilarious.
So what were you saying about the AI? So what? Explain that for someone who doesn't understand. Like you were saying, it's not. What was your theory on that? That it's not. I guess you're saying it's not as big of a deal as like people make it out to be, or whatever. Maybe.
I would just, I mean, I guess like, I don't know. Well, no, it can be. It can be. It all depends. Like it's because I think of like myself and being like, okay, I see what's happening here to some extent, at least. I don't need to know line by line all the code behind the scenes to produce an output. But like, I get that this is not a sentient AI. Like, you know, people call it AI and they've seen a movie and they think now that they're in the movie Her or something. It's like, yo, chill. It's not like that. At least I don't think it is. I don't have any reason to suspect it is. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like everybody's different. And some people, you know, that AI, the term AI psychosis, right? Like it exists for a reason. Like people are kind of spiraling based on their interactions with AI. And I can't relate, but I believe that it's happening. And so it can be dangerous in that regard. The other side of it, though, is that like we could just be like us three interacting with it for even business purposes. Or, you know, maybe it's, you know, you can take a picture of like a cut in your hand and be like, yo, am I safe here to just Band-Aid this, or do I need stitches? And it'll like try to answer it. But like in the future, it may be like, no, go to this hospital near you. And it might be like slightly further away than the closest, you know what I mean? And it's just purely based on a contract they had with that healthcare system. You get what I'm saying? Like that's not a new concept. I just think it will be adapted in the future to AI. But you know what's also interesting, just on the note real quick, is like AI doesn't even seem to be like remotely profitable at all whatsoever for the people offering it, right? Like it's massively unprofitable. And anytime you see that, guys, like if you look into the history of a lot of the big tech companies, for instance, and you know, we're all told that it was just like, you know, they were just in a garage coding because they're nerds. And then one day it became what it is. And it's like, literally, I don't think that's ever been actually the case, right? Like if you actually go into the origin stories, there's a good book. Oh man, I can't think of it. It was if I think of it, I'll let you know. But like it wouldn't just focus on origin stories of big tech, but it did kind of focus on, hey, like a lot of these are just people that are well connected with decision makers who can put pen to paper and, you know, make real life change. And basically it's a lot of just like monopolies, basically. Like we don't enforce antitrust laws. And then when you say like, oh, we're connected, it's having the right relations with the right people. So, you know, people think like, oh, Bill Gates just made, you know, MS-DOS or whatever, but it's like, I don't know, there was connections there between his mom and IBM and like there's more to that story. And that's not me just isolating Bill Gates. I'm just saying like that's just one example. A lot of people think like he just coded it himself. It's like, I don't even know if that dude can code. We know Zuckerberg can't code. But you know what I mean? Like if you just get the propaganda version, you think something completely different than what's true. You know,
Before we get into that, I wanted to let you know I created a totally free guide to get approved for the Amazon Influencer Program, how to scale it up, how I literally went from $0 to $50,000 in just Amazon commissions alone. There'll be a link down below. The guide is absolutely free. It's about 33-ish pages, and I have a whole video walking you through the whole guide. So if you want to start making money on the Amazon Influencer Program, definitely click the link below.
I was just going to say, like, there's more to it. Like, I have, like, a whole list of things that I've learned over the years. But, like, for instance, like, Jeff Bezos's grandpa was literally the guy in charge of the predecessor to DARPA, which is, like, where all the, like, black budget technology comes from. Like, that is, like, decades ahead of what we get, you know, if you're just a normal civilian. It's just one of those things where it's like all these coincidences, right? High stakes, high stakes, high stakes, coincidence, 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 right? And if all you do is get surface level info, you're led to believe something completely, obviously, often the exact opposite of the truth. And it's often because your information is coming from a device called a television. Literally, it's called a television where you watch programming, and somebody reads a teleprompter and talks to you in a weird voice. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And it's blue light, which they know is like blue lights, I don't know if the exact origin of this was true, but it's like dates back to like slot machines back in like the early Vegas days, because it like mind controlled people. Like legit, you go into like a trance. So of course they're like, okay, blue lights on the phone, blue lights on the TV, serve them ads, talk in a weird voice, read the teleprompter, don't ask who wrote the script, just read the script. And that's the world we live in, dude. It's like we're shoulder to shoulder with people that don't ask any questions about anything. And AI is just gonna be an extension of that, where it's like, but it's like more convincing because it knows how to talk to you, how to talk to me differently, and how to talk to everybody differently, So I think it's just a furthering of the agenda, whatever the agenda is.
Yeah, it's literally like Anchorman, and like when they mess with his teleprompter, you're just like, "Yep."
Yeah, you said the sentient thing. So you believe this is not the like fear of this thing becoming sentient. You think that's not even a thing.
I mean, I can't, like, as somebody who learned to code, like I don't see how that would ever be possible. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's why I asked, because I'm like, you probably have a really good understanding of like how it actually works, like from a software standpoint or whatever.
Yeah, like, have you heard of like, there's a bunch of, if you get into like quantum theory and quantum physics, like there is a role that a conscious observer plays in how matter manifests in this world, that the XYZ axis of this world, that like we have our five senses, that's how we interact with, right? Like there's the double slit experiment where they beamed electrons through a single slit, and they had something to record essentially how it fired through on the back end. And when there was no conscious observer, there was a dispersion pattern. It literally was in like quantum superposition. It occupied every potential outcome. But as soon as you introduced a conscious observer, which is like, well, how do you define that, right? We're just using English words here. But it's like, it would collapse the wave function, and it only recorded if they fired one beam, right? Whereas before that, it was every potential outcome was being recorded at once because no one was there to observe it. So you see what I'm saying? Like, is AI ever going to become a conscious observer for that experiment? Or is it only ever going to be humans?
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch more. There's a bunch of crazy stuff like that, like, assuming that we're not being lied to, I think, like, puts a pretty clear defining line between humans and AI. You know what I mean? But also then there's some crazy stuff you get into, like, history of, it's not a new thing. Like the concept of, like, sentient AI, like, look up the history of the concept of a homunculus. They've been trying to, like, artificially create life, like conscious life, for, I don't know, thousands of years. And it's on record. It's not like a conspiracy. Like, even though, like, outside looking in, it's a conspiracy, but it's not, you know what I mean? You're just not taught this in school. So it's like AI to me is just an extension of something that's been tried for, we're told, thousands of years.
Yeah. And I would assume, maybe I'm incorrect, but this is probably just the time that they're coming close to trying to make it happen, because there's just unlimited money flowed into this unprofitable thing. This is hard to understand. You're into the investing, so you probably understand this even better as well. What's going on here where, like, NVIDIA makes an investment into this company and this company makes, like, but this is clearly like a bubble of some sort, but, like, what do you think is going on there, of like how nothing is making any money yet they're all getting more money? Like, what's happening there?
I think it's two things. Like, number one, it's like, that's like not anything new. Like, that's like a thing that's happened, for who even knows how long. I'm sure decades and decades. It's just being called out now because the numbers probably feel like they're staggering because they get bigger. But here's the thing, right? Like, if people don't understand inflation, of course, it's not something you're taught in school. These numbers of, like, dollar amounts don't actually represent anything, right? Like we have, our money is completely broken, right? There's a central bank that nobody knows who they're accountable to. You don't even know who's really, like, you can probably look it up and get told that somebody figured it out, but it's really like the stakeholders there, they don't answer to anybody. It's probably like these bloodline families associated with, like, the major banks, but whatever. So when you hear a big number, it's like, oh man, now it's $1 trillion. Whereas 10 years ago, it was $1 billion. And before then it was $1 million. And it's like, yeah, because of inflation, because they have the ability to hit zeros on a keyboard and produce this money. And then they call it helicopter money because it often trickles down to the top and then kind of makes its way down into the economy to us afterwards. I think that's why people care. Otherwise, it's like, this is nothing new. Companies doing funny business and doing accounting tricks. Like, again, our whole system, as we understand it, the economy, laws, like the stock market. It's because people put pen to paper and said like, there will be a concept of called a corporation, you know, which by the way, a person, if you look up the legal definition, it can include a corporation in case you're wondering. So it's not just like they've left the door open to non-human entities to be legally defined as a person. This is just something interesting that I always thought. But yeah, it's just wizardry that's been allowed, right? Like you're connected to the right people. That's essentially what you're saying. It's like Bill Gates is not, I come back to him. I'm not trying to hate on him, but it's like, he's not like empowered as a politician, right? So he is not, per the law, able to put pen to paper and pass something that says, okay, no more enforcing antitrust laws. It's funny. That's a good example though, because it's like, you know, Microsoft used to get in trouble for that. Now it's just like they're buying Activision, right? They're buying like any company they want and nobody cares. There's no threat. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if they just started buying like banks out, you know, and just all of a sudden now they're also in the finance industry. But did I do a good job answering that? I'm just kind of ranting now.
Dude, I love this. Just keep ripping.
That's great.
What do you got, John? I want to stay on this topic. We're just going to call this the most.
Can I say one thing? My bad. I do think AI though, if you follow the money, that's not random. Like they were about to ask the government to like backstop like was it $1 billion or $1 trillion? I think it was like $1 trillion, because $1 billion nobody cares about for open AI. And it's just like, if you, that's not random. And the fact that they even had the gusto to do that, it's like, hold up, you don't just do that randomly and put it out there. The fact that we're hearing about it. So it's like the fact that when I hear government too, I don't think government. I think like government to me just means infinite money printer. Just means that like the cost of this will be absorbed by the populace that transacts in US dollars. To me, that just means that, hey, you know, your quality of life got a little bit worse because OpenAI needed $1 trillion. Well, what are they doing with that money with AI? Yo, like, this might be a conspiracy, but I don't think it is, because I can just be discreet, is that like the data points being collected from your life, my life, everybody's life is constantly increased, right? It's through wearables, it's through your phone, and you know, all the data that's being tracked through all those phones, and it's a million things, right? And they only ever want more. So at a minimum, AI could just be like used for all this data processing at scale, you know, and like, there's only, imagine that these data points that they collect only get worse, you know, like all these signals, you know, whether it's like a binary 1 or a 0, or, you know, it could be like it's, we're humans, our heart beats, like that keeps us alive, but it's also going to be like recorded as just a number in a database. And it's your heart rate today at this time, but then it's also later on at this time, and then it's tomorrow and this data just gets massive, massive, massive. And AI will collect it from as many people as possible and do whatever they want at scale with that information, right? So you see kind of where it's headed. And to me, the word that describes it is potentially a panopticon, where, you know, like the concept of like freedom, civil liberties, etc., is completely foreign to the future generations. This has nothing to do with like business really, but it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like, as business people, we're still using it. But like, why is the money being pumped in when it's so not profitable?
Yeah.
And to me, it's because it's serving a purpose on the back end. So the people who, again, are at the top of the hierarchical control structures that exist everywhere in this world. It's undeniable. Name one thing that's not like that. You could say like cryptocurrencies that are decentralized, like Bitcoin, stuff like that. But that's like the first time ever. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it has to be proof of work, not proof of stake. So it's not Ethereum. And it's just a completely foreign new thing where it's like, oh, public ledger, decentralized. There is no CEO. There's no one person that has any more control over it other than the next. You could talk about like mining nodes, but everything else in life is the exact antithesis of that.
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about, that's like literally what Palantir does, right? And that's, I'm sure you've seen the Palantir stuff.
And who's financing Palantir? And what is the root of, you know, a lot of the Palantir, you know, mafia guys? Like,
they're reading us right now.
Yeah. I mean, it is, man. And like, why does their stock trade at like one of the most like insane forward PE, price to earnings ratios? Like who makes that decision, right? And what do they know about what's coming next? It doesn't mean that there has to be signal, but there often like is signal in the financial markets. There often is truth in money. It doesn't mean there has to be, but like there often is.
Yeah. Well, on the investing standpoint of it, so do you think it is a bubble that will pop, or do you think this is something that probably will continuously get propped up for a long time? Like, I know the tech bubble and stuff happened. Like, there's been tons of bubbles, but like it seems like you almost believe too that like this is government involvement, like it's big in that way too. Are you somebody that's investing in NVIDIA at like $1 billion, like so much money right now, or like you're like, I'm staying away from that stuff? I don't know if that's a long-term thing.
Yeah, I mean, my investing thesis, like I've obsessed over investing. Like I've been investing since close to 20 years ago, but like I've really obsessed over it since March of 2020 because I made a lot of money shorting the markets during the COVID crash. but I knew that I didn't know nearly enough. And I was like, if I know what I'm actually doing, like I could probably like really make life-changing money because these markets are so liquid. You know what I mean? You can make $100 million and it's like, okay, on the stock market, of course you could, right? Whereas like most other things, like extracting $100 million of wealth, not easy, right? Yeah, like I would just say just like general principles, like you don't, well, okay. If you just Google like the largest companies in the world by market cap, like you don't typically ever want to bet against them. You know what I mean? Because like if you invest based on narrative, you might get lucky and be right at some point. But on the flip side is why does almost every chart go up and to the right? Like every company that's not like a dead company, why does it always go up and to the right? Well, you denominate it in USD. Okay. And if you're denominated in USD, a depreciating asset with a private ledger, no one even knows how much of it exists, right? And I've seen some insane statistics of like how much the supply has inflated in the last like 5 years since COVID. Which, by the way, I mean, like pre-COVID, there was liquidity issues with like the financial plumbing, and basically like it needed. It's funny because COVID, you know, provided the answer to potential serious financial issues, but I'm sure it was just a coincidence. And you know, and it shows up in financial markets.
60% of all money has been printed since
it's something absurd like that. Yeah. So it's like, do you really want to bet against? When we say a bubble, like what does that mean? That like it moved up too quickly and now we don't believe that it can continue to go higher? Because like, dude, look at history. Like, a simple investment thesis too. Like the trend is your friend till the end. Don't bet against trends. You know, like if it's going up and to the right, like it's okay to ride that wagon. You know, there's where people get in trouble is like making degenerate moves, like using like options. You know, like they're derivatives. They're really meant as to be like a hedge for large financial institutions. But like, of course, you know, a normal investor is like, wait. So instead of buying 100 shares, I can buy this contract that represents 100 shares and get outsized gains if I'm on the right side of the move. It's like, okay, then they end up doing that. And it's like, yeah, I just say like, be responsible with your money. You work hard for it. Also though, it's like, dude, if you're just getting paid in money in cash and you're just keeping it in a bank account, like you're literally like getting wrecked. Like my measure of inflation personally is the annual returns of the S&P, which has been basically like 20% a year since 2020. So if you're not making a 20% return, you're literally like losing your buying power. Like when I log my net worth on the first of every month, and then I look up the price of a McDonald's Big Mac and I divide it by the price of a Big Mac. And I literally measure my net worth in Big Macs, because to me, it's like, that's a good history of number one, how much a Big Mac costs and how fast the price is getting. But then also it's like USD is not a good measure, period. It's just not. You know, I'd rather be the Big Mac guy than the USD guy, even though that's what like 99.99% of people think about. Like it's so obvious, you know, anything that used to cost X amount costs more now. So you got to get on the right side of that equation. And that's why like I've focused a lot this year on not just making passive income through these businesses, but like investing it and multiplying it on the back end, because I think everything's, we can all feel it, right? It's accelerating. And I think it's more and more important to be at a minimum, protecting your buying power. But then also it's like the concept of generating alpha. So if the base rate is 20% a year through investing in the S&P, well, generating alpha means can you outperform that 20%? And it's easier said than done. It's honestly probably better to just not even try and just buy the S&P, reinvest the dividends. You'll be so well off. But I think like, I mean, I came to this, I don't know, I'm talking a lot, my bad. But I was gonna say cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, et cetera. Again, it's a multi-trillion-dollar Bitcoin, just not the rest of cryptos, right? Almost all the other cryptos are based on Bitcoin's open source source code anyways, but Bitcoin's proof of work and the other ones, almost all of them are proof of stake. You know what I mean? So what like proof of work means is the nodes that essentially create and facilitate transactions, and the actual like network where I can send you money, et cetera, any amount. It makes it so you can't really tamper with the network. So it's just a really special thing. It's multi-trillion-dollar asset class. I think the highest performing asset class of all time, maybe not, if not all time, then definitely my lifetime. And the compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin is higher than the 20% annual return of the S&P since 2020. So I'm like, okay, can I be the smartest person in the room and maybe outperform? So then I start going down these rabbit holes. It also helps, like, because, you know, you're going to have to obviously ride some upswings, but some downswings too, to like study Bitcoin. What's cool is there's honestly a lot of truth in Bitcoin, because again, you don't have to take anybody at their word. It's open source. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no trust involved really. It's kind of, it's a public ledger. If I send you money, guess what? That transaction's in the Bitcoin blockchain forever. You know, if I want to open up a node in 50 years, that transaction is going to be on there. I don't know. So that's kind of where I was going. Dude, I'm going crazy right now with the ranting. My bad.
No, dude. This is awesome. Yeah, keep ripping. You're a big Bitcoin fan then, I assume?
Yeah. I mean, but even if you're like a fan of USD, it's like that vehicle, like, it's something that should be on your radar because it's been around now for, if you go into like TradingView, I think you have like 14 years of price data,
Mhm.
you know? And so it's not like a new phenomenon, and it's outperforming the hurdle rate for most people, which, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's for most people, but like for me, and it's an aggressive thing to say, but like, yeah, I'd say like 20% a year, just about. And like, what's fueling a 20% a year return in the S&P? Well, it's a bubble like the Nvidia bubble, right? Like, but I'm okay with that because I get it. I call it market cap magic. Like, when Nvidia is a $4.5 trillion company, what does that really mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you can sell $4.5 trillion of Nvidia shares. No, because that will negatively influence the price if you sell too much too quickly, right? And then the market cap goes down. So it's just market cap magic. There's this many shares. The last time that a buyer and a seller shook hands and agreed on a price was this much. So if you do that many shares times that price, you get this many trillions. And anybody who's like having trouble with that concept, because our brains can't fathom a trillion any more than they can fathom a billion. You know what I mean? Like, you just need to understand, like, this is a runaway train. All that it's really representative of is you go to work, you work your ass off, you have good intentions, but they're stealing, like, these vampires are stealing from you through the monetary system, through this completely broken system that is, they don't answer to anybody. Again, private ledger, private central bank. You know what I mean? We pay like debt to them, like we pay interest to them, which is another hilarious concept, like, to me, because like we're like the government with the infinite money printer. Oh, we owe you interest. How much? Zeros on a keyboard. Boom, there you go. And then we absorb it in the cost of goods going up. And where it's initially reflected is in the financial markets. And Bitcoin is like the ultimate well, it's not the ultimate, but Bitcoin is definitely one of the biggest barometers of the money supply expansion, I would say.
Yeah. What you got, John?
How'd you come up with the Big Mac thing? Dividing your net worth by how many Big Macs you could buy?
There's a guy named Noah Kagan. He's been bigger on YouTube lately. He's like an entrepreneur, but he also made the tool Sumo, app Sumo, that was like one of the first email collector tools for websites. And I was on his like newsletter, and I think he like sent it out like 10 years ago. So I've just been doing it ever since.
What? Back to the big one for a second. What do you think about Michael Saylor? Like, I guess Michael Saylor is going to like rule the world if you know that ends up being like. What do you think about that situation? Because I traded crypto like all of last year, like meme coins. I'm sure you know about that, but I never was like fully bought into the crypto thing. I was kind of just doing it, trying to get rich quick. It didn't work, but I always thought that was odd. The problem was like the Michael Saylor thing. Doesn't he own like a big portion of Bitcoin? You know.
Yeah. Before we get into that, if you could just take 1 second, like this video, we would greatly appreciate it. It really helps get this out to more people, and that will allow us to get better guests for you guys. And if you are feeling extra generous, leave a comment what you like about it or tag us on social. Thanks so much. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, but because it's like proof of work and not proof of stake, like it's not really, it doesn't really manifest in, like, in theory, he could like tank the price if he wanted to, but it would be completely counterintuitive to like what he's working towards. Instead, what he's got is like the most pristine collateral that's ever existed. Like, what made US treasury bonds like appealing was they were considered to be like the most pristine collateral. Because again, it's like, what is that's another thing. Someone put pen to paper and said, this is a treasury. It will yield this much. Like, and people were like, it's the government. What is the government? Don't even worry about that. No asking questions. That's the government. They're backing this new thing called a treasury. You know what I mean? And it's like, and we just keep working from there in this theoretical financial system that is literally made by humans like us. You know, we're just not empowered to change it, right? We've inherited this system. People in charge now inherit it from, you know, their forefathers or whatever. But yeah, with Bitcoin, it's like treasuries, except for there's a finite supply. It's a public ledger. You can't really fake it. And like, let's be real here. I'm not like anti-tech. I'm not like thinking the whole world's a big conspiracy, even though it is. You know what I mean? Because I don't think things are random. But like, Bitcoin is just one of these things where it's like a digital representation of whatever money is supposed to represent, I guess. Right? But we have our broken money. So what does it even really represent? To me, like nothing. Because like, again, like a hamburger used to be 15 cents. Now it's like $3, right? So it's like, what does that tell you? But Bitcoin is finite supply, 21 million. A bunch of it's lost. It's divisible down to I think 8 digits to the right of the decimal. So it's like you could theoretically transact in it. I don't think that's actually the role it's meant to play, where it's like we swipe a card and like a transaction goes on the Bitcoin. It's not meant to be that. I think it's just meant to be like a true like store of wealth. And if you think in terms of USD, it's just meant to be an inflation hedge. So that like when we work our whole lives, like we actually can like, I don't know, I could go on forever, but it's like you could buy a house like in theory, if everybody was on a Bitcoin standard, like you wouldn't be able to buy a nicer house because you held Bitcoin. Like it would just be like, hey, you know, like your Bitcoin maintained, it's a flat line. But because we have this USD on the other side of the equation, if you save in Bitcoin, what have you been able to do? Like I go to a boat show every year. It's like every year the boats get more expensive in USD, but they get less expensive in Bitcoin. You know, if you save in Bitcoin, you can get a nicer house as time goes on, right? And it's like almost understanding the equation and then exploiting it. But it's also much more than that because Bitcoin as a technology is not understood. It's being repriced almost in real time. But the way it moves is also like punishing. You know, if you look up the charts, like it literally moves in parabolas. So less than 10% of the time it's putting in its actual gains. And the rest of the time it's literally just making people want to pull their hair out. Because if you denominate it in USD, it's often losing money, right? But if you're in it for those parabolas, that's how you can really this is what I've spent a lot of my time studying this year, basically, because I think we're knocking on the door of like a parabolic repricing very soon. And it's not just about holding Bitcoin. This is if you want to maximize your USD gain, but like holding Bitcoin's one thing. You get a 1-to-1 return in terms of like the USD return to your Bitcoin holdings is that's what you have. But you said Michael Saylor, it's like if you hold MSTR, like he personally called it like Bitcoin at a premium, which may seem silly to the uninitiated, but if you could like just think about it for a second, like just think like it's getting exposure to Bitcoin, but in the traditional finance system, which is a whole that actually matters, right? Because now there's like ETFs that represent Bitcoin, like BlackRock's IBIT is a popular one. Before there was that, there was MSTR. And also though, there's more to it. Like the premium that you pay, it collapses in a downtrend, but it expands in an uptrend. So if Bitcoin's up 10%, MSTR, I bet you anything will be up 15 to 20. You know, and that's a very like rudimentary high level explanation, but it's like if you can time when Bitcoin's going to go into those parabolic repricing phases and you hold these proxies, and I'm not saying you shouldn't own Bitcoin, like I love Bitcoin, but I also love proxies to get my USD up. And then what am I going to do with the USD at the end? Probably buy more Bitcoin, honestly, but it's like, you know, you can get a little bit more of an advantage through these timings. There's Bitcoin mining companies too. If you can own those, they often go up more than MSTR does. And if you use derivatives on the big, I'm not saying anybody should do this. This is just in theory. But like you could make like 10, like I'm not saying you could, like I'm saying this has happened in the past, how I should phrase it, because it's not financial advice. But it's like you could make like 10,000% gains in months just for having been in the right position at the right time. And what's funny is you asked about bubbles. It's like often it's the people who entered the trade late that saw those returns, while the people who were there early are trimming their positions because they're like, oh, how much longer could this go? And all I try to do is just I jokingly say like be dead inside, just be completely unbiased and objective, because money's a vicious game, especially at that level, you know, because it's just me versus AI algorithms all day. But like really try to have my head on straight, study the past, look at all the like metrics that I can get in TradingView. TradingView just like lets you chart and stuff, and just set myself up because I think we're truly in 2026. I think we're knocking on the door of a parabolic move in Bitcoin, and my goal is to make no less than 8 figures when that happens. Like it's completely possible. Like these are the most liquid markets in the world. Talked about all the ways you can do it. You don't even need to have $1 million in to make 10 million, but like, the more you have, obviously the easier it is to hit those numbers.
Not a gold or silver guy at all?
No, I have both.
Okay. What about, you're not physical, like a battle against them or whatever? Like, I just like to be hedged. Bitcoin guys don't like gold, that kind of thing.
Yeah, dude. Nah, like I'm just like a practical guy, so I would say just like be hedged. Like real estate. You know what I mean? Like gold, silver, Bitcoin, stocks. Like I love Bitcoin, but like I probably made it sound like I only have Bitcoin, but it's like no. Like I have a portfolio of like 400 plus cryptos, right? But like they're shit coins, and like I will literally let them go to zero before I'll sell them under $1 million. Because if you saw how you remember the shitcoin casino at the last crypto run, it's like my whole logic is like just literally ride that or let it go to zero. It's fine. Like I put in as much money as I'm willing to lose. I have permanent long exposure to the S&P 500. Everybody should, because it's like since 2020, it's been basically 20% a year. You don't have to do anything. You literally just let it sit. And yeah, just hedge. Like I think of like a pie chart and just don't go all in on any one thing, I guess. Or if you do, just have conviction, because look at Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's almost been impossible to have lost money buying Bitcoin, and right now, technically, if you bought the all-time high, you're down a little bit. But like I said, like I truly believe and I could literally go on for like 2-3 hours straight about why in 2026, the parabolic move is coming for Bitcoin. But, I would just say, just dive into that, or I do have a investing YouTube channel too, where I talk about that, every other day basically. So that'd be a good one if you're interested, if you care. Otherwise, just, dollar cost average into Bitcoin and just build a position. And then when you're riding that parabolic move up, you'll be happy you did it.
Yeah.
Not financial advice.
I'm gonna have to watch that because I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I don't want to get into it because it probably will take a long
It's
time.
super technical. Yeah, it's super technical.
John,
But
what
I
else you
screen
got?
share. I try to be good. I try to be like a base level. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't need to have like the foreknowledge. Like I pull on my, I don't know. This is what I try to do. Like I pull on my teaching experience from, teaching 7.5 years at college. You know what I mean? I try to just like talk and present in a way that like is slower than I would do it in my own time, but like help people make sense of it.
Yep.
Makes sense. I know you're like really into productivity, and what are your thoughts? I don't know how you'll answer this. What are your thoughts about like the robots? That people can now get a robot pretty soon. Are you gonna get one, or what do you think?
No, I mean, like it all depends on the utility, right? Because I am an efficiency guy, but like I don't know. I'd rather ask you what you think because I'm not like read in on that much. Like, I've seen like the visuals, but like, is there any practicality to owning a robot?
Dude, I think that it's personally. If you heard about these software companies, I forget which one it was. It was like recently. I think OpenAI invested a bunch of these in like an AI company, but in reality, it was like 600 Indians like coding really fast, and it wasn't even AI. You hear about this?
Yeah,
I think
I heard about it like through like Matt and Shane's or like War Mode or something. So I didn't know if it was real or true or not, but
yeah, that's dead serious. That's like what that AI company. I saw that through like a financial thing. I think the robot thing, from what I understand, it's a lot like that. It's like it works, but also like a human has to take control of it in your house. And like you were talking about all these touch points on your body. I mean, imagine you have a robot scouring your house that can like take photos of everything. And it's pretty crazy.
Dude.
Like, I don't, if there's a human on the other side, like some guy in Pakistan that can like take control of your robot. I don't know if that's the best idea, but it looks cool, I guess, when you see the ads.
Yeah, like when I say utility, it's like, what is it actually doing for me? I just got back from a cruise, but I'm not a big cruise guy, but I've been on 2 in my life. The first one I went on was 2 years ago, and there was just a robot bartender. And this thing, I swear to God, was broken 80% of the time. And I'm just like, this is cool in theory, but like it doesn't work. Like it's always broken. They have to keep an employee full time, constantly fixing it. Like, is that even like they're paying that employee who's like understanding robotics more than they would pay a bartender, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about it like that. Like whoever can fix that thing is probably getting paid like 5 times as much as like the employees. So then you can have 5 employees. Yeah, I never really even did that. That's pretty dumb of me. But yeah, that is probably a hard problem to fix unless these things get extremely efficient, which I don't even think they're close. Like when you're talking about, John, that company, I think they claim they're close, but I don't think they're as close as like.
I think it goes more to like kind of what you were saying before about like the marketing of this stuff, and it's like, oh man, like who wants to work in a factory? Like there's just gonna be robots in a factory, or like imagine like this thing doing your laundry. Like it's just like so like I think like impractical. Like if you went to the website, I forgot what the company's name is, but it's basically like this old couple, and like you see the robot like dusting their house and like folding their laundry, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. But like you said, like no one's talking about like, well, like how do you fix it when it breaks? Right?
And
Like those like 70-year-old people are gonna will pull out a screwdriver and like be like, oh, like we just got like it seems like crazy to me. Like it seems cool, but it's like I don't know. The practicality, I think you're right.
Yeah, and is that the pinnacle of like human achievement? But here's the thing: like the conspiratorial side is like you were saying, where is the purpose deeper than you having a robot that dusts for you? Is it that it's equipped with imaging software and it's connected to the internet, right? Okay, you better believe that data is on some web server somewhere. And then due to redundancies, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So it's copied somewhere else too. So now it's on multiple web servers somewhere in the world. They have the layout of the interior of your house. It probably has a mic on it. They put mics and cameras in TVs. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, like, I mean, am I going to have a robot? Most likely not. Like, this is just me personally. Like, I don't put anything on Wi-Fi that I don't have to, I'm like on that level. Like I fight every piece of tech. Like I'm turning off all sharing because there's just no need, and I'm still like, if you want to know anything about me, like the government could tap into, my camera right now, my mic, and like you would know. So it's not like I'm doing a good job of hiding myself, but it's just one of these things, like a principle thing, because the encroachment on our rights is just, and again, it's because people put pen to paper. Oh, the government can't do it, but you can do this thing called a public-private partnership, and You know, the robot's not owned by the government, it's owned by a private company. You know, Elon Musk is the king of this. I mean, I can't start ranting. Just like, dude, DARPA, black budget tech, instead of just giving it to the public like they did with like GPS, they're like, wait a second, let's let somebody that we anoint, the kingmakers, whoever they are, anoint to be the public face of it. And then next thing you know, you've got somebody who was part of, you know, PayPal earlier. And it's like, dude, PayPal's not like a unique idea. Like somehow, some way they got the blessing to be allowed to digitize money. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Dude, a million people thought of that. But for whatever reason, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, like they were allowed to do it, right? Like it's just, the world doesn't work that way where it's like, oh yeah, these are the smart guys. Everybody else is a stupid guy. No. Like, oh yeah, Elon also has the brain chips. Oh, I'm sure that was an original idea. By the way, people are like, yeah, it's going to be great. Dude, look into the trials on monkeys. Like it's like animal cruelty exponential. Like what they experienced when they're like actually trying these things on in the monkey brains. Like I'm just saying it's not all good. You hear the positives, you don't hear the negatives. It doesn't mean negatives don't exist. It just means you didn't hear it. Like he has the Boring Company where they dig holes. They dig like deep underground military base style holes. But I'm sure that was just a, you know, commercial thing that yields him plenty of profits, but you never hear about it, right? Like he's got a space company. If me and you tomorrow hit like the biggest YOLO bet ever on the stock market, and next thing you know, we have $100 billion. Are we going to be able to start? Are we going to be allowed to start a rocket company?
No.
In a million years? No. Only the anointed ones are. It's like, dude. And am I saying anything that's a conspiracy? Come on, like this is just how it is. You think things are random? It's not. Like,
yeah, it's like it's fun. I think a lot of that too. These guys get pulled up as like a pull up your bootstraps, like look at what's possible. But it's like a lot of that stuff is just like fodder. I mean, if you actually believe that these guys are like, I don't know, some small town guy or he came from another, like, you know, the American dream type stuff. It's like, that's not really how any of that stuff works, which is kind of a brutal reality, I guess, especially we're on a business podcast, but like, it's not really applicable to this type of stuff, right? Like, yeah, we're not going to start SpaceX, but you can do pretty well for yourself.
So that's the thing, man. If we had to like, the takeaway is that like, yeah, like unless you are connected with the right people, which probably started with your bloodlines, your family, you know, who you were born to, which you don't get to choose, then like your best outcome is most likely going to be like what we're probably all chasing, which is just like a comfortable above average life, which they're making more and more. Like they're trying to eliminate the middle class. Like it's obvious, you know, so we're just trying to like maybe be middle class or like at the bottom rung of whatever the next one is. And that's a realistic goal for, you know, a lifetime, because the people that like are actually the people with the boot on our necks are literally like multi-generational, you know, it's what it is. Like, or, you know, and I'm not saying every business that's ever been successful is due to being well connected or, you know, government contracts, which might be awarded at random, might be awarded because you shook hands behind closed doors with the right people. But like through things like Amazon influencers, Amazon FBA, Amazon merch, selling Amazon FBM print on demand, starting a YouTube channel. Hey, you're good at this. Start a course, you know, do one-on-one coaching, whatever it is, just like monetize your expertise, monetize your time. When you get that money, like then unfortunately it's not enough anymore. You do, I really firmly believe, have to kind of like do something with it on the back end. You can't just leave it in a bank account. But if you do those, man, like you can get ahead still. Like it's still possible, you know, even though like right now the squeeze is tighter than it's ever been probably, or maybe that's probably wrong. It's probably tighter in like the Great Depression, but you know what I mean? It's bad for our lifetime, probably.
Yeah. I guess this is one last thought. How long do you have here? Do you have a hard time cut off?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, then we'll keep ranting because this is pretty good. Are you optimistic about anything? I've been recently having this talk with people about like the housing market because I don't have a house that I own yet. And I'm just like, what am I going to do? Buy this like super expensive house that is not even that great. And it's not going to out return. It's like, well, houses go up. Well, they don't go up as much as the stock market. Like your house isn't going up. The money's going up. I try to explain to everybody that rants to me about this. So then it's like people my age, you know, like under 30 years old or 25 years old. Where's the hope like for people? Because, you know, not everybody can have like, you know, take control of their income. They're not all like us, you know, that people have to have jobs. Do you have any optimism for like where this goes in the future of like, what do people even do? Like normie people that just have a job? Like, are they just cooked or is there some way to get out of this?
Yeah. So like I've heard a lot of stuff from really smart people over the years. And like, I swear it's like the best thing we can do is like think about what we hear more intelligent people than us say. I'm not trying to say I'm that person, but it's like you hear smart people say things. And then like, if you can just let it stew at some point, maybe it starts to make sense. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm going to share something that I heard people smarter than me say that makes sense now to me, but it took years. Is like owning a house doesn't necessarily need to be what we aspire to. per se. It's definitely a math equation though. You know, it's like it's variables on both sides. Like if you own a house outright, it's good and bad. You still owe property taxes, but that's, you know, whatever. And then you get the appreciation of the property. But like, is it going to appreciate as much as the stock market? Absolutely not. Is it going to appreciate as much as Bitcoin? Absolutely not. If the stock market goes up 20% a year and you can theoretically, let's just say, buy a house at whatever percent mortgage, like you can kind of do the math of like, when you get a mortgage, it's just a loan.
Mhm.
What is that money costing you? What's the cost of that capital? And then do that against like the returns of the S&P, which is just a good baseline. Annualized. Again, it's one of these things where it's like the longer you're in it, the more realistic the return is. And I think it almost, in most cases, due to, like, again, to me, the financial markets are just telling you the debasement of our currency, how bad it is. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like, oh, because breakthroughs in technology. We just talked about how AI is, you know, I was going to make a joke. It could be people behind the scenes typing on a keyboard on the other side of the world. But like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not sentient. And so it's like the $4.5 trillion is just, it's just a bubble, but these bubbles need to exist. Like they're almost like a requirement. They're almost like a certainty. You know, inflation is a certainty because, dude, you know how you hear like world wars and it's like, oh, that's sad. It's a war. People died. And like, that is sad. But like truly true death and destruction on a scale that's like unfathomable would occur if we had deflation. Because deflation means the dollars are sucked out of the system. An illiquid system, the whole global financial system locks up, it crashes, it's over. And you're like, oh, but I have cash, dude. It won't matter. You know what I mean? It will not matter. Oh, you have cash? So, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the people that drive the trucks aren't going to get paid. The deliveries stop. Oh, you had cash to buy that melon. Well, guess what? That's the last melon. There's no more after that. Like the whole thing, death and destruction that's unfathomable in scale will follow the financial system collapsing. So deflation's not an option. That's why people stepped in. And if I had like a screen share and I showed you charts, which is not necessary for the story, but it's like, they literally either have a mandate or these algorithms that trade the markets, like they know exactly where to step in basically, because there are like levels of consequence where it's like, oh, if that level doesn't hold, we're going to go down another 10% most likely. And it's like, it literally kind of ladders like that. So it's like where the COVID crash was stopped was a very significant level. Where the tariff sell-off was stopped, that was a very significant level. Where the tariff, remember the tariff sell-off in April?
Mm.
Where that started, it was not random. If you go on the logarithmic scale and you literally connect, just draw one line. Great Depression top, so right before the crash, 1929, to the dot-com bubble top. Straight line, and then just extend it out 25 years. It's exactly where we were when the tariff sell-off happened. But if you want to know how bad inflation is, and this is a discrete representation. So it's like anybody who thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist that's listening, it's like, this is not conspiracy. You can go look yourself, all right? No opinions mixed in. We are now above that 100-year multi-generational trend line on the SPX, the S&P 500, whatever you want to call it, like the broad representation of the stock market. We're above a 100-year trend line now. What does that tell you? You know what I mean? Like to me, emerging bubbles like, oh, Nvidia's 4.5 trillion. What does that tell you? Like, it just tells me there's too much money, and because of the nature of when they produce money, where does it go? Well, does it go to us? It did during COVID for $1,200, but that's not really a thing, right? Like it usually goes to the people behind closed doors, shaking hands. I was going to say at Mar-a-Lago, but it's like, dude, it's wherever, you know what I mean? It's not like meant to be political. I'm not political either. So it's like, and so what happens then when the rich get richer? Like, oh yeah, it's an AI robot. It's going to replace 10 workers. Oh, that's deflationary. That means that we should all see an improvement in our quality of life. Yeah, in theory, that would be the case. Except no, what's actually happening is those workers are fired. And the people that own the intellectual rights to that robot, the patents or whatever, like they're going to get richer, but they know money's not real. So what you're going to see is asset bubbles inflate across the board in gold, silver, stocks in general, real estate. Like, you get what I'm saying? Because they know money's not real. They know that these USD things are fake. So they're going to go buy real assets. Bitcoin, you know, it may not seem real, but guys, everything in this world is digitized. So is Bitcoin. What's the difference? Bitcoin's a public ledger. There's no trust involved. And you can self-custody it. You can literally self-custody your Bitcoin to where no one can take it. Just like you have cash.
Crazy.
You know, it's like, it's crazy. But yeah.
I will say, well, with the housing thing, one more thing on that, like you follow this guy Ramit Sethi, he talks all about it, like the real breakdown and stuff. I've always been a renter, but like I think what a lot of people like, say, oh, housing always goes up. No one ever accounts for like you buy your house, let's just say for 50, you sell it for 100. Well, like you redid your kitchen, you put in a new bathroom. Like no one is like, oh, we dumped 70 in.
Yeah,
So
you
like
have to
no one
track that.
accounts
Yeah.
for that. Or
You're
like
supposed to
your
track that though.
landscaper or all this other shit that you pay versus rent. Like I've always liked renting just for that reason. It's like I guess it's built-in savings in your head. Like you could leverage your house down the
I,
line, but like I have better things to do with the money as a business owner.
that's what I was gonna say. Like I didn't bring that home with that point. That was my bad. Is that like if you have $1 million right now and you said, should I buy a house or do something else? I would look you in the face and be like, that house will maybe net you in the best case scenario, like 5% in the next year, if you're lucky. If you put it in Bitcoin, like, and you have a long time horizon, you know what I mean? But like, also if you put it in Bitcoin and it ends up just by a random chance being 2026, I'd be like, oh my God, you're going to be the happiest man that you literally put it in. You essentially, when you buy like the stock market or Bitcoin, you're just at a base level, zoom out. You're just aligning your interests with the interests of the people at the top of the hierarchical control structures that literally control the world, you know? And so it's like, how rare is it to be able to do that? And you can do it.
Yeah, I guess the battle is like, you want ownership over like land and property and stuff. That's like kind of what you're sold, I guess, which really
It's like you do, but you don't. It's a lot of it's fake.
you pay
Man.
property taxes, they can take it. Like you really don't ever own it. I
That
guess
you don't
that's
own
what
it
I'm about.
anyways. You
Yeah.
like you really don't, man. Like that's what's crazy is you really don't. Like, but it's one of those like deep conspiracy things. But it's like by the letter of the law. Like you actually don't own your land. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like, I guess, so what do you recommend? No, I should not buy a house. I should just rent and invest my money where I know I'm going to get bigger returns.
Life is short, so it's like just do what you want to do. But like this conversation, if we had it like 10 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, like buy the house, you know. But it's like right now we're in like a really steep acceleration, and that tends to be like how it goes. It's not like a new phenomenon. Like if you actually look up like I don't want to say hyperinflation because we're not there per se, but like this is how you get there. You know, it goes from whatever 1% to 2 to 3 to 4 to like, but like again, there's government CPI inflation. It's a fake metric that they're rigging constantly, and it's not representative at all of like people's lives.
I would say, yeah. Go ahead. No, I would say
it's like a joke.
the same thing here. Like, so where I live, it was just like, I don't know if I've been here like 10 years, but like at least like 5, like the same house, let's just call it, let's say $150,000 house is now like 250, 300, and it's the same house. It's like nothing better. Like you're not really getting like much. Like it's kind of crazy to me. And then I'm just like, we're renting like a brand new townhouse and it's amazing. It's brand new. Like everything's amazing. Like something breaks, we just call someone. It's like, why I'm living in that like $500,000 house and didn't pay $500,000.
No, dude, I agree 100%. Like having just bought like a new build, like and moved in a year ago, it's like it has its benefits because like efficiencies, right? Like we kind of designed things that we wanted, but yeah, dude, huge pain in the ass, and like you're managing like builders and the repairs and all that crap, and like headache, and that's one side. But so it's literally your time, which is like the most valuable currency. The other side is just it's literally just like this is something you can illustrate well in TradingView, that software, or like any charting software, because like you can't maybe get a representation of like that house specifically that you're in, but like I'm sure there's like a ETF for the housing market, generally like broad returns. And if you can literally go and say like Bitcoin divided by that and get in, like you literally see it in front of you. And so if you see like a runaway line, it might imply like, okay, well, Bitcoin significantly outperformed owning a house. And it's just discrete data right there in front of you, you know, and you can do it literally like Bitcoin divided by USD, Bitcoin divided by gold, or flip it, you know, gold divided by Bitcoin, you know, which one is the better? And everything in life, that's the thing. It's like the sooner we can get, this is just me saying this, but like it's a rigged game, and money really is the root of it's like the major, it's the enabler. It's the vehicle with which they can steal like your time. Like you go to work, you're away from your family, you work so hard, you know, you're underpaid. And then the money you do get, they steal back from inflation, right? And income tax and all that. It's like, it's such a vicious, like sad game that, you know, our lives currently, but it's like, if we can be like, okay, well, USD is fake in the first place, go buy a hard asset that they need to inflate these bubbles because you can't have deflation. And the people with the money, you know, the fraction of 1%, like they're helping create these bubbles. Because what's the alternative? You know, buy another mega yacht? Like, no, they're gonna like, they're doing what, like, I'm not saying they do what I do, but it's like, I'm diversified. Like, you didn't think I would have gold and silver, but like, no, I have plenty. But it's not because I really want it. I'd rather have more Bitcoin, but it's like, it's good to have. Like, it's a good hedge. Gold literally doubled in the last year and a half, which, by the way, like when I say Bitcoin's about to go parabolic, like it's not even a hot take. Gold just doubled. Gold doesn't double in a year and a half. Like, gold doubles in like a decade. It just doubled in a year and a half. Like, the stock market is above a 100-year trend line on the log scale. Bitcoin's about to go parabolic. All right. That's the one thing. Take that away from this, make some money and then buy Bitcoin. Sorry, not financial advice.
That's funny. You talk about the gold. I bought some gold mining stocks in like 2020. I must have bought the top and they just went down. I didn't invest. I didn't know enough about investing at that like 3-4 year point. Now it's the highest returning stock in my whole portfolio. And I'm like, how does that do that? But that's the same thing you're explaining, right? It's kind of like a leveraged, gold position or whatever, like the gold mining stocks. I didn't even know there were Bitcoin mining stocks, which I guess those things too are profitability of the company, but the assets they own outweigh that so much it doesn't really matter, I'm assuming.
It's also just how money flows, man. Like, money rotates, and it's not like me and you are rotating our money. It's like the algorithms that really trade everything back and forth and like set pricing. And these algorithms are written by like the smartest people on earth. I'm sure of it. Like, these are the market maker algorithms, but like the market makers just have the money, and then the people that write the algorithms, I'm sure, are separate. They're just like really smart quants or whatever. Quants, if you remember The Big Short.
Yep.
This is not quant. But like when that money rotates, like it does, like every equity and asset class like has a personality that's kind of like assigned to it by the market maker algorithms. And yeah, like Bitcoin, those parabolic legs are where the money's made. It creates euphoria and then it dumps. That's just how it works. It's going to keep doing that. MSTR does it, MicroStrategy. The miners, they're more like straight up, straight down, because they're just a little bit more erratic, but you get higher multiples. And what I would say is just like, dude, if anybody cares, like you can go into TradingView software and like you can make this, if you actually do want to trade instead of just invest, which the easiest thing to do, buy the S&P, do nothing, or buy Bitcoin, do nothing, do both. But you literally can like go to a high time frame. So we think of like the bar charts, green, red, but like you can have like 5-minute candles where every candle's 5 minutes. You can do like a daily candle. You can do a weekly candle. You can make investing so simple. It doesn't mean that like I shouldn't say it's not financial advice, right? I'm not a financial advisor. Disclosures. But like you can go to the high time frame, just go to like weekly or monthly, draw a downtrend, and then right click the line where you just connect tops, right? Like if you see a downtrend, you might see an uptrend, right? So you can make money, but by the way, you can make money buying and being long or shorting and betting against it, right? You can make money both ways. A simple methodology would be only make money when it goes up because things are on average going to go up, although it really depends what you're talking about. If it's like the biggest companies in the world though, like Google, Amazon, whatever, yeah, like you know what I mean? You could literally just say, in my investing thesis, I will never bet against them. I will only bet on them going up. And you can draw trend lines when they're in downtrends because everything does come down to some extent. Doesn't mean that you have a bubble pop and it crashes, but like the momentum oscillators, like they do need to be reset. So you do need moves to the downside. But you could literally like draw one trend line, just be like, when this downtrend breaks, it basically charges up the move for the uptrend that follows. And you can right click the line and set an alert and literally just have it tell you on a high time frame when to buy. And you don't even need to look. You can literally just have it automated. And you can actually automate the trades too. But most people, I think, would probably want to actively execute them. But like investing can be that simple where you just zoom out. You might only trade whatever it is you're looking at once every other year. It might be that rare. But it's like these high time frame things are really hard to fake. And so that's one thing I would say. If anybody's watching, you want to like trade, even though it doesn't really sound like trading, to me, that's like a really cool way of getting that like outperformance.
Yeah.
So realistically,
you brought up The Big Short. I was going to ask about that, but you kind of like already explained a little bit. What about Michael Burry? What do you think about him just kind of closing everything? I'm sure you've heard about this, and now he's started a Substack or whatever. What do you think? Because how do you think that's went down? Because he's shorted all these companies, I guess, and then I'm assuming it's not working out.
Yeah, like I don't know for sure if he only ever made money shorting companies, but it sure sounded that way. And it's like that's just like such a harder way to go about making money. I mean, there's ways you could make money shorting things. Like there's ETFs that are like leveraged ETFs where it's basically the equivalent of buying like call options. And so if you shorted those, I'd be like, okay, well, they tend to regress towards zero because that's just how like derivatives work, like options contracts. There's the time aspect, and the closer you get to expiration, if it's out of the money, it goes to zero. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just like it just seems unnecessarily hard. But it all depends on how much time and like how much of a glutton for pain you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he did it in The Big Short, I guess.
If you wanted to short when we were against that 100-year trend line, like it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, then Trump did this thing with the tariffs. It's like if you'd never watched TV in your life, you would still have been short right there. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't even have cared why the market was crashing. It wasn't relevant. Like I could show you the chart of where it sold off from and where it pivoted in terms of the bottom, and you don't need to know a single narrative. It was pristine. Like the AI algorithms that trade these markets, they have symmetry baked into these moves on a high time frame, and it's like kind of a beautiful thing to see. Like I'm like a dumb human, right? But like these AI algorithms, man, they're smarter than me, and they're doing like such an incredible job because like it factors in like the previous decades of price action. It also factors into the future where they're headed, and like the timing of the moves also for it to get exactly where it needs to go. It's also like there's a time element. It's crazy how they do it, and like I don't know. I've seen it enough though. It's like I've spent a lot of time this year in the charts, just studying. Again, just trying to make as much money as possible on the next Bitcoin parabolic move because they're getting rarer and rarer. Like I think after this one, the next one will probably be like 8 to 10 years. You know, so it's like we talked about how it's like, is there hope? Like to me, it's recognizing the game, recognizing the rules. It's not rigged in our favor. It's rigged in certain people's favors, not us. Unless it is, but it's not for me. And so it's like we have to, when these opportunities present themselves, you gotta catch it, you know, because that's to generate alpha. That's to outperform. Otherwise, park your money in the S&P, make your 20%, and just do what you want. You know, I wouldn't judge anybody too. It's like it's not just about money. Like I said, like I got other things that are way more important to me in life. But money is also like a game too. So it's like it's fun to try to get ahead.
What you got, John?
I don't think I have anything else. Do you have anything?
You got anything you want to talk about? This has been awesome, man. I did not think it was gonna go in this direction, but that's sweet. I love this. So.
No, I love it too. It's like therapy.
Yeah. What anything else you want to talk about? We got time too, but you've kind of covered about everything. This is a very educational thing for people.
I just think like just be open-minded about like everything in this world, man. Like that's what I would say. Like just literally like don't be afraid to like question literally everything. Like when you're about to put like food in your body, like turn it over and like look at the ingredients. You know what I mean? And just be like, what is that? Google it. You know what I mean? Like ask questions and try to be informed about this world that we currently like co-inhabit because it's not the same world that like I was raised in. Like it's not the same. It's changing. You know, like it's changing arguably for the worst, you know, depending. Like I'm not at the top of any of these control structures, so therefore in my opinion things aren't changing for the better, you know, but it's like you can still like we have the power to like, and we are empowered to at least look out for ourselves and like our family and our loved ones. You know, it doesn't mean that like I don't like get in arguments with like people in my family who like don't want to hear it, you know what I mean? But like if I know something to be true, I don't mind if like the opportunity comes up to be like, oh, by the way, did you know this? And then I also always say like, I don't like go out of my way. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but it's like if I get, oh, is that true? Like no one ever asked that. They'll just like kind of, and I'll be like, and I can send the proof. Like, you know what I mean? Like I literally keep copious notes. And so it's like, if it's something I know maybe seems counterintuitive, cited, sourced, you know, oh, hey, like what's your email? Let me send it to you. And try to like kind of uplift others around you. You know, it's, I don't know. That's where my head's at. Everybody's different though. I also think like money's fake. So don't spend your whole life kind of chasing it. Like money is the vehicle with which like all this exploitation takes place. It kind of really is the root of all evil. So it's like, I think you should have like good intentions with like how you try to generate money, you know, if it's like for a house, for a family and that sort of a thing. But if it's just to like have to like buy more material goods and stuff like that, I just think like, you know, I don't know. I think like honestly, humans are kind of like special in that like whatever we occupy our head with, we can like tends to manifest around us. So if you're like bullshitting with social media all day, it's like you're going to manifest bullshit in your life. Whereas like if you have like good intentions and, you know, I think like you can kind of manifest a good life for yourself too. And before you know it's going to be over. So you might as well try, you know, try. Most people are scared to try. Just try.
Awesome.
All right. Where can everyone find you?
YouTube, Ryan Hogue Passive Income, and then Ryan Hogue Investing.
Ryan Hogue Conspiracies. That's the next one.
Yeah, right, dude.
Dude, you're good at this, man. Dude, you're good at I'm on the same wavelength as you. That's the only thing I kind of watch online is like kind of, you know, stuff you're talking about. It's interesting. You're good at explaining this stuff. So
it's gone mainstream now. Like that's what's kind of scary because it's like, then I just think like, why is that? Why are the algorithms now making conspiracies mainstream? Like, why is that? It didn't used to be the case. So
yeah, that's a little scary. I guess never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I stopped trusting like literally everything in 2018. So I've been at it for a while, because it probably shows.
You're good at it, man. You're educated. It's cool to listen to.
Appreciate it. Cool. Thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone go follow Ryan. Go check out his YouTube. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.
Peace. If you enjoyed this episode and know someone else that would enjoy this episode, if you could send them this episode, literally just copy and paste the link, send them on Instagram DM. Everyone loves to network. This is a great way to do it, a very easy way. It helps grow the podcast and get better guests. So the more the podcast gets shared, the more views we get, the better guests we could get for you. We would really, really appreciate it, and tag us on social media and we will share it as well.